Okay, so we might get started with the session. Welcome to our AMSIG End-of-Year Gathering and the launch of our 2024 AMSIG Mentorship Program. Hi, everyone. Welcome and a very warm welcome to everyone, both online and the groups that are meeting face-to-face. Welcome from the AMSIG convenors. So we have, and I'm pointing to places on the screen, but I don't know where everyone is. We have Paul here, and I can see Susan and Tony and Sandra, and of course, Sophie from EA. Hi, everyone. So it's great to see lots of familiar faces, but also wonderful to see some new faces as well. So what a great turnout to celebrate the end of the year, almost our achievements, to have this opportunity to connect with our colleagues and introduce this new initiative. So we'll start online for the first half an hour and introduce the mentorship program, and then we'll move to the local groups for those who are together face-to-face to continue with some networking, wrapping up and review of 2023. Okay, everyone can see my slides? Yes, excellent, thank you. So in the first part of today, we're very happy to introduce this initiative, which is being designed to empower and equip both the emerging leaders in our sector and the current leaders as well. So the aim is that this program will serve as a way for professional growth, providing mentorship, providing guidance and support to the emerging leaders within our sector. So in this information session today, we'll be covering some of the important aspects of the program. So to introduce you to a little bit more about the program. So we'll cover things like the aims of the program, the benefits it offers for both mentors and mentees, the guiding principles steering the program, how it actually operates, and how you can actively participate if that's something that you're interested in. We'll have some time at the end for questions, but I think throughout, if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat as well, and then we can either answer them in the chat as we go or have a look at them in the end. I think I forgot to introduce myself as well. So hi, for those who don't know me, I'm Paula. So I'm in Adelaide at the University of Adelaide's English Language Centre. Okay, so what are the aims of the mentorship program? So I guess the overall aim is to foster this community of ELICOS leaders, and to do so by enhancing the connections among managers from different centres and different colleges so that we can share expertise and insights. Also to empower people with practical leadership skills. So things that are applicable to real life scenarios within our specific context. Also to support emerging leaders by sharing knowledges, by sharing the experiences that we have, and to encourage varied perspectives. So to look at things in maybe a different way or in different ways, especially when it relates to things like decision making and problem solving. And another aim, I guess the final aim, is to strengthen what is already quite a supportive and collaborative community within our sector. So the program is established with some core values of professionalism, mutual respect, open communication, and a commitment to continuous learning. And so these principles underpin all interactions between the mentors and mentees, with the goal of providing that supportive experience for all participants. And Paul will go through some of the guiding principles a little bit later on. But before we go to that, let's take a look at what the roles actually are. So the mentor serves as a guide. It provides support. It provides encouragement through engaging conversations, through facilitating open and meaningful discussions. Introducing exploratory questioning, so that can also serve to stimulate critical thinking and self-reflection. So that could encourage the mentee to consider diverse perspectives and solutions. Positive coaching is also involved there with the aim of offering constructive feedback, with the aim of offering encouragement to help the mentee achieve their own personal developmental goals. And in terms of the mentee is an active participant in the process. And the mentee is willing to not only seek guidance and support from the mentor to address some specific challenges that they might be facing, but also to enhance their leadership skills and focus on their goals. So over to you, Paul, who will now take us through some of the benefits. Paul, I think you're on mute. I can't hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now? Now. Okay, can you hear me now? All right. Sorry about that. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about was, on behalf of our group, is talking about the benefits for the mentors. And there's a lot of benefits. This is just a couple, but some of the bigger ones that we think that people will benefit from most. So one is to enhance your own leadership skills. So naturally, there's people that are being mentors to people within their own organisations for a long time. These might be people that are in any kind of level within the organisation, but most likely going to be people who are either head teachers, perhaps academic coordinators, managers, etc., who have a lot of experience in their field and want to pass that on to other people. However, by joining the AMSIG mentoring program, that allows you to connect with leaders from other organisations, and that draws in different perspectives. So you might be paired up with a mentor or mentee that is from a different organisation, perhaps, possibly even from a different state. But the whole purpose is to gain different insights that would not otherwise be possible if you were only talking to the people you talk to every day, right? It's great for your CV as well and your own professional experience. Once again, if we've been working for the same organisation for many years, being able to connect with a community of other professionals is a really great way to advance your own professional career, as well as the personal satisfaction and growth that comes from making those connections, meaningful connections, lasting connections that are not just a one-off, okay? Thanks, Paula. The benefits for mentees can be similar in many ways. Once again, you're developing these opportunities to connect with people outside of your own organisation, within your own industry, the Alicos industry. So there's opportunities for collaboration there, to develop insights and strategies for professional development or professional growth that, yeah, once again, if you're not sure of how to develop in your own role, or if there's specific skills that you need that you can't find within your own organisation, this is a great way of doing that. Observing different leadership styles in action as well. So seeing other people within the Alicos community and how they interact. I'll give you a quick example. It might be something that perhaps you might want to develop in terms of your ability to connect and develop networks when you go to conferences, for example. Well, how do you develop that skill? You can go to conferences and engage in that situation, but sometimes you need that sort of individual support, somebody that can act as a bit of a mirror to sort of say, hey, this is what I noticed, this is what you're doing really well, and continue to do that. But here's some other ideas. And that's where I think some real growth can come from, and further develop your own leadership skills. So when it comes to developing a strong relationship, and we were talking about this with other members of the AMSIG when we were preparing for this session today, and looking at the kind of analogy of what happens when we develop strong relationships between a mentor and a mentee. And I think it really requires listening, right? Now, but that's for both the mentor and the mentee. At the same time, we need to be able, you can't both be listening at the same time, right? No one will be communicating. So there's an element of sharing information as well, and being open to sharing things that are potentially confidential, right? So I've heard Sandra mention before, it's, you know, what happens in the AMSIG stage, in the AMSIG kind of environment, that it should be a safe place when you come and talk to your mentor or mentee, that what you're sharing, you're free to openly share your thoughts and feelings with either your mentor or mentee. And then there's that element of trust and respect. So the more that we share, the more that we have an interest in that relationship, the more that people return that level of trust and respect from us. So that's essential to continue to grow that relationship as well. Clear expectations are important. And we talked about some examples, such as what would happen if somebody just gave lots of advice and wasn't listened. And I think the other analogy that became, or the metaphor, was this idea of, say, a tennis coach with a tennis player. And that level of respect is also going to develop differently to perhaps you with a peer or with a colleague, because the tennis player is the pro. They know what they do. They know their conflicts. They know what works in their organisation. But we still, even if you're a professional tennis player, they all have coaches. And why? Because they act as that kind of mirror to show them what they wouldn't see of themselves, right? And so there is that mutual respect that happens between the person who is the mentee, the person who's acting in that role within their organisation, and the mentor, the person who's there to listen and provide guidance. But they're not necessarily the expert. It's not about providing, this is what you should do in this environment. Instead, it's much more about this ongoing discussion and questioning and delving deeper into issues that are important to the mentee in particular. So set up that kind of clear expectations of what you want to get out of the relationship, how you are going to communicate, when you're going to communicate, how often you're going to communicate with your mentor or mentee, and that will set some of the relationship up for success, right? Because you don't want a situation where the one member was expecting something that's not being delivered. Yeah. And the other part is, we're not looking for problems, we're looking for solutions, and therefore it's about celebrating successes along the way. Looking at what's working, looking at how you can maintain that level of sort of positivity and support and encouragement. And that will come through in that positive reinforcement, and that will help maintain the motivation for the mentor and the mentee to both be engaging and getting those real benefits out. You might notice we're talking about benefits today. Why not talk about challenges? Because we don't perceive many, to be honest. There might be some challenges along the way, but I think that there's going to be far more benefits than there are going to be challenges.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, thanks, Paul. So now into some more of the nitty-gritty, I guess, of the program. So how the program actually works and what it looks like. So if you are interested in participating in either a mentor role or as a mentee, you can submit a expression of interest form, which I think Sophie will put the link in this chat, and it will also be emailed out to all the members on our distribution list, and the due date's January 25th, so I know everyone's quite busy towards the end of the year and the beginning of the year, so January 25th, expressing an interest to participate. So matching the mentors and the mentees, I think, is a crucial step in ensuring that it's a rewarding experience for both. So the AMSIG will collate the details and the information that you put on the expression of interest form and pair mentors and mentees based on this information provided, with the aim to create connections, meaningful connections of people with similar interests and experiences and aspirations. I guess the caveat is the number of applications received might influence the matching process, but that's just something we have to see as we go. So let's look at the timeline of the program and what it might actually look like in the year. So you have an overview of what to expect. It's expected that the program will take about 8 months from start to finish. So we're asking for the expressions of interest to be submitted by the 25th of January with a view to the program commencing in February and culminating around the same time as the English Australia Conference, so August, September. So roughly 8 months. Now the process is expressions of interest are submitted. Participants are then notified about their mentor-mentee matches. The AMSIG will hold some introductory webinars for the mentors and mentees. These will be held separately, so we'll have a information session webinar for the mentors and one for the mentees. And then the mentors and the mentees can have their meetings and plan when they'll be having these meetings for the remainder of the months. Now, throughout this period, we'll also be providing some check-in sessions with the AMSIG convenors and with other participants. And so these will include some online structured discussions to help support and facilitate the process. There'll be an end of program celebration. We're running this in a hybrid mode. So it will be held at the English Australia Conference, but also online at the same time for those who are unable to attend the conference. And then finally, we'll send out a program evaluation so that we can get some feedback on the program and also to reflect on the experience and its impact that it's had. So prior to the program commencing, participants will receive a detailed timeline with some key dates indicated as well. Support.
You've lost your audio, Paula.
Sorry, you've lost my audio?
Can't hear you, Paula, sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, just have to yell and be really close. Sorry, is that okay?
Not now.
I can hear you all the time.
How about now?
Yes.
Okay, I'll keep going. If you can't hear me, just start waving and jumping up and down. Training and resources, I think, integral to the success of the experience. So at the program start, we'll be providing some resources for both mentors and mentees. And as I mentioned before, there'll be some pre-first meeting sessions that will be held online. And then you're all set for a productive collaboration. Additionally, we'll organise those check-in sessions online, and that will facilitate some peer support and knowledge sharing as well. And that's an opportunity to have some discussions that are relevant to each of those roles. But throughout the program, if you do have any questions or any concerns, you can reach out to us through Sophie, and we're available to assist at any stage. Okay, so before we finish with the online section, I'll open up to any questions and also take a look at the chat to see if there's any questions in there. No questions in the chat, but if anyone has any questions.
Yes. As I was sitting here thinking about it, so it's the first time I've looked at this, so I don't know very much about it, and I don't know about the process that you've gone through to develop the program. But as I was sitting here, I was thinking, well, I've got quite a lot of experience, but obviously there's gaps and there's still a lot for me to learn. So you talked about it sort of mentor-mentee, but is there a place for one person mentor, but mentor-mentee being equal? Does that make sense? So everybody's got something to give and everybody's got something to learn. So sort of a more equal matching, if that's kind of making sense.
We did discuss that, and some of the challenges. I see the same thing myself. That there's some parts where it's like, I'm sure I could learn from somebody, or I'm sure I could give or offer some support to somebody else. But I think that what we're aiming to do, regardless of whether or not you see yourself as either mentor, a mentee, or both, that you kind of put yourself through as one. What do you want to get out of this? Do you want to be a mentor? Do you want to be a mentee? And possibly, do you want to be involved in the same program as both? So then you would be matched in that circumstance. And I'm not sure, I'll throw that one to Sophie maybe later, or Sandra. But the idea would then, you would be matched with somebody to be a mentor to them. However, you might be separately a mentee to somebody else. That's how I think it could work. I don't think it will, because I think that would be probably a little too much. So it could be perhaps mentor this year, mentee next year, or the other way around. Really, I think it depends on what you want to get out of it. Yeah, because it is a scale. It's not black and white. It's like you are definitely mentor, you are definitely mentee. It is definitely scale. So
that's a really good point. And when you submit your form, mention that you're on both sides and make it clear what you're after. That could help match the matching process as well. The more information we have from each participant, the better we can match people together. Yeah.
I think there's a question from Sydney.
Oh yeah, I guess mine was on a similar vein, because I was thinking, there's probably things I could offer as a mentor, but gee, there's a lot of I could also learn as a mentee. So it was sort of wondering, how that might be managed. Whether you'd have to be one in this year and it's follow on the other year, opt for that. But I think the peer-to-peer option is a good one. So it's not really a question now.
Okay, so I think that was in a similar vein to the other one. And the more information you can give on that form, the better we can match with all the requirements or expectations and needs that you have. I think Adelaide has a question.
Yes, Adelaide has a question.
Hi, Simon.
Hi, Bella. I guess everyone's envisaging this as mostly to do with teachers, but is it also open to other roles, for example, senior teachers or coordinators or other things? Sorry if that's already been mentioned. I did miss the first few minutes.
Absolutely. It's open to anyone, teachers, senior teachers, head teachers, academic managers. I think we all have something to learn and something to give as well.
Great, thank you.
Thanks. Any other questions? Okay, so there's one in the chat. I'll read it out, and maybe the other members of the AMSIG, you can have a go answering it. So matching mentor and mentee pairs from Snezana. Matching mentor and mentee pairs in a program is a crucial step that requires careful consideration. What criteria and strategies would you employ to thoughtfully match mentors and mentees in a way that maximizes compatibility and enhances the overall effectiveness of the mentorship program? Great question. Oh, it's such a good question. Anyone? No, I'm having a look at where all the answers.
I mean, one potentially might be the size of the institution, the type of the institution. So, you know, people with a similar type of, you know, if it's a small low-cost college versus the University English Language Centre, because you've got different resources, different types of issues, different types of students, different types of programs.
Yeah, I think that would definitely come into it.
I'm going to come over here now.
Thanks, sir.
Snow, thanks for your question. And I think once, lovely to see you here as well. Once you fill in the form, you'll probably get a better understanding of the types of considerations we're going, you know, the process we'll be going through when we're matching people. We've asked in the form if people have any particular areas of expertise. We've asked if mentees have any particular aims. We've asked people what they want to get out of the program in terms of mentor and mentee. So once we see the answers to those questions, we hope that that will provide a way for us to thoughtfully match mentors and mentees. And there probably will be a bit of a process of back and forthing as well, where we ask people for more information if we feel that we need it. But yeah, other things, as Claire mentioned, might be the type of programs that you work on or the type of college that you work in. And also, I guess, the place where you're located would also be a consideration. What we thought might work nicely would be to match people from different states and for meetings to happen online, because that would facilitate national networking. Often, you know, people in your own state you know quite well, and you might be able to set up an informal mentoring arrangement with. But we thought this program would be a great way to facilitate a more national approach. But again, if there's something that you particularly want in terms of, you know, the type of person that you're matched with, please include that in the form and we'll do our best to accommodate that. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Yeah, and I think just in addition to that, you know, I think just being pragmatic, there may be instances where the match, for whatever reason, does not work. And in that case, it's important to have that communication with the AMSIG committee, and then not only, you know, first we'll try to facilitate that experience, but otherwise it might mean that we try to engage in a different way or provide a different match if possible, because it's possible that that might happen.
Great point.
Thank you.
A couple of other points that I'd like to add there as well is that this is the first year that we'll be running it. So if you look at other more established programs like the English Australia Action Research Program that's been happening for how long? 10, 15 years? I forget, Sophie.
It's 14th year now.
Yeah, so I'm sure that each and every year that you know, Anne Burns is learning and Sophie's learned through that process. So as we learn through this program what works and what doesn't work, then that will inform future years when we run the program again. So there might be some teething issues in the first year, but hopefully we get, sometimes just responding to that naturally can be the best way of doing things too, rather than trying to overly systematize things. Instead, just working through at a sort of person-to-person sort of level might help to make the program a little more successful too. So just a few thoughts there. And it's also another reason why we perhaps want to have clear either mentor or mentee relationship is we will get the mentors together with other mentors and the mentees together with other mentees as well to help each of those two groups to sort of discuss with each other how are things going with their mentor or mentee, and then share experiences that way too, which will also indirectly support the program as well. And we can see that way certain trends arising if there's similar issues between the groups or similar experiences, positive experiences happening that we can further enhance. Yeah.
Okay, there's no other questions in the chat. There's a few comments there if people want to have a look. Any other questions here? So we will put some information up on the AMSIG Facebook page. And if you do want some information or have any other questions, just reach out to us and we're more than happy to discuss or answer any questions further. But for now, just being aware of the time, I'd like to thank you all for coming online, and I'm going to throw to Sandra Piccinacci just to finish off the session.
Thanks, Paula. Thanks, Paul. You can hopefully hear me, even if you can't see me. That's good. There's no need to see my face ever. So thanks, everybody, for coming along. It's great to see so many people. I was just flicking through before, and there are plenty of you who are clearly interested in the mentoring, so that's fantastic. Paula and Paul, kudos to you guys for setting this all up. I know you've done a lot of background research into this. And the rest of the committee as well has all had a hand in this, Susan and Tony as well. It looks to be a pretty promising, maybe experiment is what we can call it at this point. But I think it's a nice service that we'd like to offer the AMSIG community. So please do opt in, whether you're a teacher, senior teacher, coordinator, head teacher, academic manager, DOS, doesn't really matter what your title is. It's more about wanting to professionally develop. And as Paula stated, it's confidentiality is key. Cross-institutional participation is key. You don't really want to be being mentored or mentoring someone from your own institution. We're really keen to have as many people involved as possible. Put your hand up, either as a mentor or a mentee, or both, or either. If you're not sure, we can help sort you out. And we really look forward to seeing how this unfolds for the rest of, throughout most of 2024 anyway, and then doing some kind of event at the conference if possible.